and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
It's time for Tell It to Stanya. It's all about you. Ooh, let's peel away the layers and focus on you. Ooh, what's going on inside? Let's talk about love and truth and the matter of who we are. Let's find out together on Tell It to Stanya.
Pleasant good afternoon. Stanya Davis here. That's right. I am she and she is me. And it's another Saturday. Oh, let me turn my phone on silent. Yes, turn your phone on silent as well. Thanks. And it's another Saturday afternoon. I like to call this sometimes this feel like a session. But that's good. That's a good thing because you know what? Many of us won't seek help. And so I see Tell It to Stanya, outside of when we talk about politics, of course, as a form of quote unquote therapy. Now, my guest, this is the first time coming on a radio show. So I definitely want to say thank you in advance. I think this is amazing and very brave of her to do that and to do this, really, and share her story today. So this is another day where I behave in. That's right. See, my name is Stanya. I just behave. Omika Davis. That's right. Stanya. I just behave. Omika Davis. That's me. Okay. But she's going to share her story today. And the beautiful thing, guys, about a person sharing their journey, their story, is that we see another perspective. And not only that we see another perspective, because, oh Lord, we need to see different perspectives here in the Bahamas, we really do. But we also see ourselves. A lot of times we experience life and we think that we are the only people who are experiencing life in this way, until we hear something else or someone else and we're like, oh my God, this resonates with me. I try to do the work on myself a whole lot. And one of the ways that I actually do the work is through other people. Like when I hear other people's story or their experience or things that they have done, I just see a version of me. I may not have experienced it the way that they did, but I see a version of me. Whether or not it was me being afraid, whether or not it was me wanting love, whatever it is, being angry, hurt, afraid, I always just see a version of me. So hopefully, if you don't see a version of you today, then it will be insight. It would be information about just life, living, and others. Okay? So today, where are we going to go in our session today? We're going to be talking about growing up in a controlling religious environment, which many of us have done. And, sometimes I talk about religion and, y'all might say, boy, Stanya ain't no woman of God. And I am, guys. I love God. Now, woman of church, I ain't know about that. Hey. But a woman of God, that's my guest laughing. Definite. But sometimes religion does a number on us. It keeps us sometimes in a box. It could sometimes even be abusive. Okay? Which we will be talking about as well, the impact. We're going to talk about how that kind of shaped my guest's life and the choices that she would have made and experiences. Betrayal by others, people who she loved and who loved her, or quote unquote. I have a friend who always says, no, that's not love, or that person isn't loving you. They might care deeply about you, but that's not love, because love wouldn't feel like that. And then we're going to also talk about healing and growth and reclaiming her voice. That's where we going today. So with that said, I would like to introduce my guest, and her name is Rochelle Mortimer. All right. So imagine you just heard people clapping for you. Yes. Okay. Just hold that up.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me as your guest today. And it's so ironic that today is Valentine's Day,
Right.
right? And in sharing my story of what could have been 20 years of celebrating love ended in less than 24 months. And
What?
this journey started like 16 years ago.
Okay.
So this journey isn't like it just started a few months ago or a few years ago, going on 2 decades now,
Okay.
you know, and
So let's go all the way back, because I think you're talking about the marriage.
correct.
Right. So but let's go even like further, because like a lot of times when people come to me because they're going through a divorce or a breakup or they're in a toxic relationship, like for me that is a symptom. It's not the root. It's not, it's something else that's going on. This is just a way that we now see our stuff. But it's not where the stuff originally came from.
Absolutely.
Now it's just mounting on the stuff that we have.
Absolutely.
So, there's this thing that I always tell my clients, you got to give your mommy back her stuff and give your daddy back his stuff too. So let's go all the way back into
Memory
little person.
lane.
Yes.
Yes.
What
my
kind of
gosh.
home?
I grew up in a religious home.
Okay.
Dad is a minister.
Okay.
You know, we were heavily involved in church. You know, I'm very active. I was a part of the Sunday school ministry, the youth
Okay.
ministry, sign language. I used to sign language back
Really?
in the day. I was
Okay.
also a part of the puppet ministry as well. You know, back in the day, puppet was a thing in church.
Right.
And I think that's where I started to develop and coming out of my shell, And so for me, my background stemmed from a religious household.
Okay.
And so not knowing that it ended up hurting me in the long run, where now I have to now find some solace, some refuge to say, hey, baby girl, it's okay. You could start all over again.
So, okay. So now when we say, because I want to be very clear. So when you would have grown up in a religious environment. So what were some of the quote unquote rules or regulations or things that you had to do that you now realize that, okay, this really did a number on me?
Right. So started off, obviously, when you were little, you have your choice. You really didn't have a choice. You went to church with mommy and daddy. Wherever mommy and daddy went, that is where you went.
Right.
Right. And so you started to grow. I don't have really much memory of my parents' church, but at the age of 12, 11, I was invited to another church, and my parents were open. They're like, okay, go ahead and visit the church or whatever. It's okay. It's cool. Once it's church, they're okay with it. And so we were invited to another church. It's a fundamentalism church. In other words, evangelicals.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you're familiar with the
Yeah, man.
evangelicals.
Yeah, that out and bad.
That's it, right? And so it's like, it's a stern environment.
Right.
One would call it discipline. If you look at it, you'll say, oh, it's discipline, but it really wasn't discipline. It was really more or less, I would say, control, per se. And so growing up in
who invited you there?
I can't remember, that's the thing.
Okay.
But I remember that we were invited to the church one day.
So
and the
you-
church had a lot of activities.
Okay.
Compared to the church that we were going to with my parents, it didn't really have much activities and catering to kids.
Okay.
And so, my parents was like, okay, yeah, go ahead. They have activities, your youth ministry and Sunday school and conferences and,
Right.
a lot of stuff was going on. But I can't remember who invited me, but I do remember that is the church that I attended eventually and got baptized and became fully involved in.
So it wasn't so much. So are you saying then the religious environment? Okay, the blueprint would have been mommy and daddy,
Correct.
and then now you're now being introduced to another fundamental church.
Correct.
Right, and Christians, fundamental Christians, they don't play.
They don't. They're
no,
harsh.
they are very Bible
Rigid.
pounding, very. This is what it is. Da, 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 da. Right. Okay. So it wasn't so much mommy and daddy then.
No.
Okay,
No.
but it was now the introduction
Of a new
to
environment.
a new environment.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
And so, obviously, like you saying, in that religious realm, a woman isn't valued per se.
Right.
As far as they are concerned. And when you look at it, not all of them had that same philosophy or belief. But I think the church that I attended, he just went to the extreme, my former pastor at the time. Right?
Okay.
It's like, as a woman, you don't have any say per se.
Right.
The only value you have as a woman is just to be barefoot and pregnant.
I was just gonna say, shut up your mouth, comply, open your legs.
Exactly. That's just what it was. And if you have anything to say, and especially if you are married, you channel it through your husband and your husband speak on your behalf. You cannot openly have an opinion on a matter unless it's really channeled through your husband. And so you didn't really get to see it like that until you got older. You started to see so many different changes in the environment. Whereas you cannot wear any pants. The only thing you could wear is your skirt flowing the floor. You're gonna wear a turtleneck, long sleeve. You can't wear colors in your hair. You cannot cut your hair. You cannot put on excessive makeup. If you put on makeup, it just has to be a little tad bit of this and a tad bit of that. So it was a bit crazy. And
So how you look right now?
Yeah.
10,000 sexy.
10,000.
This was gonna be a big no.
A big absolute no. A big absolute no. It's like going against the grain.
So okay, this kind of sounding a little cultish.
It definitely became a cult. As you grow up and you open up your eyes and you start to speak up for yourself and you ask certain questions, no, you're a woman who's being rebellious. You shouldn't be asking any questions or anything like that. If you are married, you are covered by your husband, and if you are not married, you're covered by me as the pastor in the church. No, I have a father who's well alive and who do love all of his kids. So I don't have to channel anything through you as a pastor. If it's anything that I need and any permission that I need, I'm going to my father, not you.
So well, hold on now, Rochelle, man. This is a little piece of missing thing here now. See, and this is why, but guys, believe it or not, like when I invite guests on the show, I don't get the full story. And I don't get the full story because I'm just naturally a nosy person. And I'm just actually a nosy person. And then I know I'm going to ask the questions. And I always want to be authentic in my reaction. So guys, right, whenever someone comes on, trust me, Stanya don't know. Chalice don't know nothing. I mean, I just know like the very basics. Right. Okay. All right. So I just need a little clarity here. All right. So you would have been introduced to this church as a younger person around 12, 11, 12. So after that, like, how will you continue? How you was going to this church? Who you was going with doing?
It was me, my sisters, and my brothers actually.
So
All
y'all
of us
just
went.
said that, hey, this church have a lot of things going on for
Yeah.
young people. Y'all, let's go there.
Yeah.
And
Now that you say it, now it's jogging my memory. I think the invitation started from my brothers first, if I'm not mistaken. My brothers were invited to this church.
Okay.
And so while they was preparing, they was talking to mommy and daddy. Now that I'm remembering, just like, okay, yeah, carry your sisters with you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
now I remember, right? And so I think the invitation stemmed from my brothers.
Friend or whoever.
Yeah,
it was.
their friends invited them, and so eventually they said, "Okay, if y'all going, y'all gonna take your sisters with you." So it was me and my oldest sister at the time, but my baby sister at the time, she really didn't really have much say, so she was still really going to church with my parents.
So
So it
was-
was the four of us who was really going to this church.
But that's kind of a little fashion forward for your parents to allow your even, and especially considering that that your dad was a minister, to allow you to go to another church at
they
such an
were
early
like,
age.
I would say, like similar to like sister churches. So it
Okay.
wasn't like he wasn't nowhere.
So it wasn't far off.
It wasn't far off.
Okay.
You know, and
Okay.
so in the circle, so they kind of know different persons within.
Right, they're
the-
familiar with the people.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
environment. So hence why they were a bit more trusting to say, okay, I'll let my kids, and then on top of that, with my brothers too.
Right.
My two oldest brothers. So as far as they are concerned,
You're
okay,
safe.
my girls are safe.
Okay.
You know, so they're gonna go. And so, you know, so growing up, let's just fast forward to saying that, okay, we now got into the church.
Okay.
And, you know, you're trying to get yourself accustomed, and, you know, it was very fun growing up, you know. And so as you start to see things, you start to take a step back and say, hey, what y'all doing ain't really right. You know, like, what you mean I cannot say this, and what you mean I cannot say that?
Like, give me an example of maybe something you did or...
For example, if they're having, let's just say they're having the church monthly meetings, and questions have to be asked, especially when it comes down to the finance. Persons asking questions about the money, where the monies are going, dealing with building funds or whatever, or further activity or other activities that they would like to have initiative within the years.
Don't ask
Within
no
that year,
questions.
like you cannot ask any questions. And if you are married, and I'm sitting inside of these meetings and I'm seeing the married women just slanting over, whispering to their husband.
So they're not
whispering
allowed
their-
to talk.
Right. You can't talk. For you physically, you cannot
don't have a
physically
voice.
stand up and speak and say, hey, I think I have an opinion on this matter. I think I have an opinion on women's fellowship. I think I have an opinion on men's fellowship. You just can't have an opinion, to be honest. And so it's like, I'm seeing certain women just leaning over, speaking to their husband, and I'm sitting back like, why are you not speaking for yourself?
But Rochelle, you know that there are many people who still feel as though women should be
Yeah.
that way. And you know what amazes me is that, like, okay, groups of people who would have been ridiculed for different actions. Let's take, and this is not Stanya having any issue, because I ain't got no issue with nobody. The only people I have issues with, honestly, like rapists,
Yeah,
pedophiles, yeah, people like that.
Extremists.
Yes. Okay. But okay, let's take when we think about people with alternative lifestyles. That's something that was okay, totally not encouraged in any way. Blah blah blah. But let's now fast forward to 2026. We see more of a tolerance, acceptance. Not that, and I have no problem with this, by the way, guys. Right. But we see how that movement has evolved,
Shifts.
and it's not as demean the way that it was before. But then when we look at women, but still in 2026, we are still, women still kind
Face
of
the
have
same.
a foot on on the neck in a way. I mean, there are a lot of perks too, yes, but there's still, that's why I say there's a lot of people who still feel like women should be quiet, right? You should be quiet, be seen, not heard. Shut up your mouth. Your husband, he's the leader, let him lead. You just be quiet, open your leg, comply, and that's it. And
Absolutely. And when I tell you jump, you
Yeah.
ask me how high.
yes,
And that's what, as we go down, you're going to, my husband would have actually asked me the question at the time. When I tell you to jump, you need to ask me how high you're going to jump. So we'll get down to that as we get to memory
this
lane.
sound like part two coming. This sound like you got to come again.
Yeah, one sit down, one cover the layers of abuse,
Right,
mental abuse. I was not physically abused,
right.
But I was mentally abused, and it's like my dignity basically was just stripped away from me as a woman to say that no, this is what you're capable of, just to produce children for me.
Yeah.
And that is that. When you get paid, I need you to give me your ATM along with your PIN and give me your card, and whatever you need, you will get it from me. You have to now ask me permission for your salary. So sitting here in the Bahamas, and people is like, do this really exist in this country? It really do exist.
So, Rochelle, hold on, man. Back this up, man. So, okay. And I call it emotional gangsterism. Chat, y'all listen, I write my book right now on emotional gangsterism, what we talked about a couple weeks back. But, okay, emotional gangsterism is like these tactics. It's a systematic approach to manipulation.
Yes.
Because, people think that people wake up one day being an abused person or giving themselves away, and it did not happen that way. Slowly but surely, it's being chipped away. It's being programmed, whether or not it is I called you, I sent you a message at 1 p.m. and 6 minutes, and you take 6 minutes to respond to my message. And then, you carry on dead bad. So you don't want to do that anymore. So you're now learning, or the person is training you how to respond immediately.
Exactly.
When I say something, respond immediately. Okay, so this would have been over the years, piece by piece.
Yes, slowly.
Right.
Right. It started slowly because persons who know my parents, they know that, one, my dad don't play about his kids, right?
Right.
And mommy don't play about her girls either. And so it didn't come full head on to say that I'm just going to get a grip of your child.
Right.
It came in very, like you said, very slowly. It started to chip in. But one thing my dad always used to tell us, he was like, you know what? Know where you come from and who you are, and always stand up for yourself. regardless of what it is. And so one day we came from church after having the meeting, the church monthly meeting. And I was asking my dad certain questions. He said, so why did you just ask the questions?
Right.
I was like, well, the pastor said we shouldn't be asking no questions because we're women. He said, hey, what? Hold on. At this time, I think I was like around 16,
Okay.
17, right? And he's like, what do you mean? You shouldn't ask a question. He said, you have a voice. If you have a legitimate concern and you need clarity on something, I believe that you should ask a question, you know. And he's like, so what? Nobody could ask a question now in the church? At this time, you're 16, 17. You're basically, about near graduation, finding your own, getting into your own self. And so, he'll give you daddy will give you the leeway. As far as he's concerned, you're growing up into a young adult.
Right.
You're going to make your decisions regardless. And so certain things I'll ask daddy, and daddy was like, hold on now.
What's going on?
What's like, why you keep asking me these questions? Well, I was like, well, daddy, the pastor was like, he's the priesthood of the church, and whatever it is that needs to be done or asked, we have to go through him. Daddy's like, oh, hell no.
Okay. So, how else is the church doing this? Do you think maybe in sermons, like the way that they preach?
Yes, in preaching, there's the sermon has always been centered around demeaning women, right? As, for example, the pastor could not control his wife, but however, he wanted to control everybody else.
There we go.
Yeah, right? And it's like he will throw jazz, but everybody know that the jazz that he was throwing was towards actually his wife.
Oh, no.
And so he just made blanket statements and to make it seem as if like it's everybody projecting it on everyone, but it's not. His wife was not domesticated. She's not one who's going to be cooking him a hot meal on a Sunday
Every day.
or taking care of the kids as it should. And she's talented. She plays piano, but however, she refused to play a piano in the church. However, there's another pianist who would play in the church. And so basically it's like for her, and then this is going to take more than one sentence, Stanya, to be honest.
You know what? See, this I back to this emotional gangsterism. Y'all, listening audience, y'all don't remember when I was going over emotional gangsters when I said that they have their wife on a pedestal, like the wife is like that's like
the creme de la creme.
Yeah,
but they're actually not.
Right.
And they're not. And they're not. Like, he bigs up his wife, but at the same time, everybody know, like, you just flamming. Like, your wife don't care about what you have to say at this point. She's just doing it just for formality purposes and for her safety. At the end of the day, you provide the bills. I'm going to have my salary. My salary is my salary.
Does she work?
She works. She works at a school.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, you try to control everybody else, but you can't control your wife. You can't control your household, but you want to put a foothold and be in control of everybody's decision.
Okay. So where did you meet your husband?
In church.
The same church?
Yes.
So like how
old
old
actually
were you?
my brother's friend.
Oh Lord, I'm just done going down here. Okay, so you meet him and y'all start dating.
We and that's it. There we didn't date. We caught, like they say,
What?
betrothal.
What you mean?
Betrothal. In the Bible, where the relationship was basically as how you will have your.
You see, I looking at you.
I know.
Listen, y'all turn on cable, without cable. What station we on cable, Brittany? Because y'all got to see the look I got on my face. What?
Yeah.
This Bridgerton, eh?
Yeah. So it's like basically, it's like I betrothed you to.
So who made this decision?
Well, I liked him and he liked me, right? And so he came to my parents and he told my parents that, he is interested in me. And our courtship lasted for 6 months. And within that 6 months, we got married. I was 19.
And how old was he?
He was 20. He's 3 years, 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during this courtship, it didn't sound too bad. Okay, courting. Okay.
Yeah, we started to
look
court and all that stuff. If we're going on dates, they have to be a chaperone with you.
Stop talking
yes,
foolishness.
There was a
Well, that might sound a little Bridgerton-ish way back in the something century.
Yes.
But that ain't sound too bad, Rochelle.
Yeah,
Not too bad.
Listen,
in a way.
Looking at it now, it was, because it's like you really didn't have a say. per se.
Right.
You know, because it's like you have to trust me as an adult too at some point, you know, that I'm going to do the right thing. Right. And it's like basically, it was like more or less of a control. Wanted to know wanted to know my business, like if we're going out on a date. You know, the movies was a sin, you couldn't go to the movies. Wearing a pants was a sin, you couldn't wear pants.
Wait, you couldn't go to the movies? Why not?
Because as far as they're concerned, that's where sinners lies and that's where sinners is, so you can't go. Actually, a church member, one of my good friends at the time, she used to work over at Atlantis and she was one of the VIP managers or something like that when you're dealing with VIP guests. She ended up resigning because he told her that she's dealing with a lot of sinful people.
This the boss of the church?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like his influence. He likes to, you know, give his opinion and influence you to make you think that, hey, these things are going to take you to hell, you know. So, and that's where all these abuse would have come from. It's like slowly creeping, and he didn't do it, whereas like it was an overbearing thing.
Okay.
You know, it started, you know, very small, and then eventually his ego got the best of him. And that's when he started to spaz out on the pulpit, started to attack, because now he started to lose control. You know, it's one thing whereas you could capture somebody one-on-one, and then you bait that person, you put that on the side. Now next to the next, I'm on to my next prey.
So, okay, hold on now. So outside of him, were there other ministers in the church?
Yes.
So what are they like?
They were almost basically the same, because he basically programmed everybody. And my husband at the time, he was like, he's a preacher boy and he'll always be a preacher boy. And no matter what it is that you say, I'm going to listen to the pastor. So I had a 3-headed monster in my marriage, 2-headed monster in my marriage.
So what you're saying is that this must be Princess Di. Say from she married Prince Charles. It was her. Prince Charles and Camilla.
Camilla.
Yeah. And that's documented.
Yeah.
So I don't have to say. Well, allegedly, I could say it anyhow, but they have
but
that
they had
in
it
the documentary.
documented.
Documentary.
Yeah.
So pretty much, you were married to your husband and the pastor.
Exactly. And so when we got married, we decided to say we're going to get a home, and we went purchase a home and everything like that. And so we said it was a nice size property that we got, and we said we was going to expand on the property, right? And so when we did, we were qualified and everything to do the expansion and everything like that. Now, mind you, now I'm 20 at this point, and I've already been married now, and so me and him talking about it, and the next thing I know, he came back home one day. He's like, baby, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about exactly?
Right.
He's like, we're not going to expand. I said, what are you talking about? We're not expanding. I said, because I don't understand what you mean. I said, we already went to the bank. We already started to follow these commitment letters and all that stuff. So I don't understand what you mean. We're not going to expand. Well, I spoke to pastor, and pastor said, yeah, and that's when it started. Yeah. And it's like every decision we make as a family, we would agree, and then eventually he would come back and he said, well, okay, I spoke with pastor, and pastor said this, and pastor said that.
Okay, I'm just curious why. Well, okay, I have several questions. Okay, one is, did any females have positions in the church?
No.
Okay, what about the choir?
No. It was, everything was basically led by males in the church.
Okay, but you say the woman could play
That's
piano.
a piano.
That's
but
it.
But she's not leading any ministry.
She's choir director.
No
so
choir
male
director.
was the choir director.
Male was our choir director.
Okay. What about ushers? Could women be?
Males.
So no female ushers?
No, absolutely not. No.
What?
Mm-hmm.
See this? Listen, I see why. This remind me one group, the one religious group. Someone was trying. This me. Well, how come woman is beating the drum? I only see them. Yeah, they didn't talk to me no more after that.
Yeah.
This me. Oh boy, it gone downhill.
But that's the thing, Stanya. Here it is. You in a church and you talking about drums. We didn't have drums in the church. The only thing we had in our church was a piano, basically, and audio.
Like how many people went to this church?
We had quite a few. We had a good.
Like more than 100 people?
A little over. I wouldn't say more than I would say under 100. Let me put it that way. Under 100.
More than 50.
Yeah, more than 50 for sure. And so here it is now. With all of that, your emotions was not valid in the church, especially as a woman. And one day when he preached, he's like, God gave you feelings, but he didn't give you feelings for you to express your emotions in the way you think you should be expressing your emotions. The only way you need to express your emotions if you buck your toe and you say, ow, and that's the only way you express your feelings. You do not have feelings.
This is what he said?
This is what he said.
To the women.
To the women in the church. And so I'm like, you can't tell me that I cannot express my feeling because my feelings are valid. If I have something that legitimately hurt me and I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. It makes me feel some type of way. Now it's a problem. And so I started to speak up. You know, and every so often I would speak up and I would say, no, I don't agree with that. And so now they took that as a challenge. He took it as a challenge.
Really?
And so he started to whisper to my husband. He's like, you need to get your wife under control because she's starting to ask questions and she's out of line. She shouldn't be having a voice in this church asking certain questions.
And see, that's when I hear, like, I get frightened when I hear men, you know, speak like that because that sounds like a child. And you shouldn't even treat your children like that in a way. But it's very scary. Like when I hear men, like that's not gentle. You know, the Bible talks about, right, love your wives, like the way that Christ loved the church.
Pretty much it was a bit chauvinist.
Yeah, it's very
misogyny.
I was just gonna say it is. It's a very scary thing. Like I can't even laugh at this. This is very.
It was
it's scary.
It was a whole. It was a lot. Emotions.
And this is why too. And see that sounds like hate. It doesn't sound like love. And you know, in the words Tupac, again, Tupac now. Tupac said that we're gonna have a a race of babies that hate the ladies. Because that's a thin line. That's not love. That's not loving. That's control and manipulation. And that's why, you know, and that's why I say sometimes religion can really distort reality. You know what I mean? It can really shift. It could really shift a society, the way our beliefs, our thoughts, and that is a very dangerous thing.
It is. It is.
You ever watch The Handmaiden say it, or The Handmaid Tale, or something like that? Man, listen, this too close to reality. I can't watch it. Yeah, because it's very misogynistic, and then the woman got to do that. Listen, I say no. I scared of that. It's a scary thing.
Yeah.
So
it's like you didn't have to say, Stanya is like.
So were there
for me. I'm very domesticated, and people look at me. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you don't look like you could cook. You don't look like you could clean. There's absolutely no way." Right? I love to bake. I love to cook. Right? And so on Sundays, my family, anybody who knows me, I'm always like having a spread on a Sunday.
You're cooking them big meals.
I'm cooking the big meals, right? And we didn't have a choice growing up because mommy said, "You better learn how to cook, and you're going to cook."
Right.
And so that was embedded in us, you know, from young. And so I started to see the small cracked door in my marriage. Whereas on one Sunday, the pastor was invited. My husband said, well, I'm inviting the pastor and his family for dinner. I was like, okay, no problem. You know, it's fine.
Pastor's coming over.
Yeah, right? And so it became now a consistent thing for me now that now I have to cook on a Sunday, and when I cook on a Sunday, I'm cooking for the pastor and his family.
Oh no!
And when I'm going grocery shopping, please shop for the pastor and his family. I'm like, oh, I can say hell on the radio.
Yeah.
I say hell no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And so I stopped cooking on a Sunday as I used to. Right? And I'm like, there's no way you're inviting the pastor and his family to this house every Sunday. He said that he is a married man and she's a married woman. She should be the one keeping his home and ensuring that her husband and her family is fed. I'm not feeding another household. I said, here it is now. I'm cooking double, although I enjoy cooking and I love it. But now you're taking away the pleasure in me doing something that I love, as if now I'm a slave and I should be doing it.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things, like, honestly, I love to cook too. And you see how people always look at you like, oh, this woman, all these nails and things, she don't know. Like, people always think I can't cook. I have a friend I literally just told, I was like, now mind you, I like to get a little free food. But I was like, you do realize I can cook. Like, I could really cook. But I don't like when I feel forced.
Yes.
Because see, I'm doing it out of love.
Exactly.
So when there's this expectation, this requirement that
Yeah.
you must do it,
Yeah.
then it takes out the joy, the love.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm gonna read this. And first of all, okay. What's the name of this text message? And he know that's his name because he tell me that. Oh, right.
Misogyny.
Okay, right. So misogyny. I already know that you're gonna align with what the church she attended, because that's where you are at. And honestly, in the words of my daughter is brilliant, by the way. Don't mind. She cute, but she's profound.
As she should.
Yeah, she's profound. She say you're too far gone. And misogyny, I don't know. I think you're too far gone. So I can't. I'm gonna read it. But you too far gone, and don't care what anybody say.
They have a reprobate mind. Their mind have already been seared.
Yeah,
so there's no coming back.
I would love to work with you, because I'm sure if I peel away the layers, I would find out what happened. Because something normally happens, and I'm being gentle. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny or demean anyone in any way, because we all have things that happen to us. But something happened. Okay, but I don't see what's wrong with your husband or boyfriend and say, honey, okay, open up shop when he wants it, because when a woman says she's hungry, she's fed. Okay, but sometimes, okay, I get that. I get that misogyny. I get that. But just how sometimes a man isn't going to always have money to give his woman, and I'm going to say this too. I like men who provide. And I believe that men are supposed to be providers, yes. But any good, decent woman, she ain't gonna let her husband struggle too. She's going to add to him. So just how sometimes it'll come a time when your husband don't have it. Okay? It's the same thing. A woman doesn't always want to have sex. And she has that right.
But here's the thing though.
She might be ill. She might be, it could be a whole... but however you want to pronounce it, but plethora, however y'all want to pronounce the Queen's English, of reasons. And that should be okay.
Yeah.
That should be okay. You know what it is? You know what it is for someone to want to have sex with you and you don't want to have sex with them? That's a violation. I'm telling you, that would feel like rape every single time. I'm telling you. That would feel terrible. Okay, and I can't say some things on there. That's why I just record one thing, but I can say it in the nicest way possible, guys. And sometimes sometimes women don't want to have sex. And I know we going off topic here, but there's some reasons. I can leave it right there. I can leave it right there. Okay, it's astonishing how women view God's family structure as a threat, but look what happened when Eve took charge. Okay. Next text message. Okay, good afternoon. I begin with good afternoon in his eye. Your guest will appreciate the reference. Loving her, sharing, and honesty. Not everyone knows what love is. No, thank you. And I even say the texting. But yeah, she's sharing her perspective. And I wish sometimes, and I know as women, we are guilty too. So I putting it out there. I think if we could have just jumped in a man's body and see some stuff, I think we would view things differently. And if a man could just jump in a woman's body and see some stuff, then men would view things differently. It's just how it don't feel good for a woman to always want money, only money from a man. It doesn't feel good for a woman to feel like she just want to have, she just a walk-in, y'all know what. That's not good. That doesn't feel good. And I don't know how. Well, it ain't my job to convince nobody, guys. I can't convince nobody. But it doesn't feel good to have to do something that you don't want to do all the time. That's
and
not
if the
good.
world would switch on the other shoe, they would also feel the same as well.
And guys, let me say, and this is why I see some things I can't say on the radio, but I'll tell you this, guys. If you want more of that from a woman, there's some things that you could do to get more of that too. Women, we are emotional. Okay? If a woman, I think I've said this before, if a woman calls her husband, boyfriend, whatever, and say, hey, This what I doing to you tonight. Bam. Okay, that guy, he's coming straight home. He's not going to stop to the bar. He ain't stopping to talk to us. He's coming straight home because, hey, today. Okay, that if you say that to a woman, that doesn't do anything for us. But if you made your woman feel wanted,
That's right.
and
Appreciate
needed,
it.
appreciated, then this woman is going to want to do that with you. Okay? I'm telling you guys, if you want, then it's a way to do things.
It's the way you say it, the approach of it.
Listen,
You know, and that's that. It makes a great deal because
'Cause we're
even
emotional.
with my situation, it wasn't like it came from a soft place.
Right.
It was harsh. It was, I'm the husband, I'm the man, I'm in charge, and you're going to do as I say. And I have to now, in your mind, you're telling me now I must acquiesce to your request because you're bullying me on a slick.
And that doesn't feel good. That's why I say that's emotional gangsterism, guys. But I guarantee you, like maybe even if he, and I knew she probably would have still get tired of him, but I guarantee you, man, Rochelle, you know you could cook good, man. You know his wife can't cook, man. Right? Or listen, I used to be bragging with my wife, telling everybody how my wife could cook. Listen, there's a way that you could do it, but when you're coming across, guys, just how it's a way for a woman to get money from a guy too, and not just, oh, I just want you to pay this bill. That don't feel good. But if the woman is more humble and asking, and oh my God, like I have a friend who's a pastor. I swear, all my friends is pastor and prophet and everything. I don't know what God do. Anyway, anytime I want him to do something, all I got to do is butter him up. All I got to do, hi, Pastor Roger Crowell. All I got to say, man, you know you good at that. But it's a way.
You do it.
So it's not so much the act, guys. It's not like that you want your woman or your man to do this, but it's the way that you go about it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay?
And it's the protection too. The protection layer has now been exposed, right? Because at this point, it's like, when are you now going to protect your family and your household and say, hey, listen, I understand that you want to come to my house on a Sunday, which I don't have an issue with it, number one. Take into consideration this is also a financial cost to me and my family too, right? And then on top of that, I need my wife energy as well. I'm not going to be exposing my wife to be cooking all of this food on every Sunday because she have to go to the store, she have to prepare this food. But he never used to give you all one little $50. I'm sure you making
Absolutely
the money. Not. Okay. Absolutely not.
There's a question came in too. Okay. Let me ask you this. As a mother, do you ever feel like not taking care of your child? Maybe you do, but you wouldn't dare neglect your child any day. So why treat your husband differently? No, it's two different things you're talking about now. First of all, I could answer this. Because you all know, child, tell it to Stanya, I transparent. My mom used to say, I ain't telling you nothing because you just come talk my business on the air. But I'll tell you this, guys. Christmas time when my daughter visited, I had to, before she came actually, I had to tell my daughter, no, she wanted me to do something. And I said, no. And that was one of the hardest things that I ever did. As a matter of fact, I was crying while I was telling my daughter no. And I remember before that I used to say, use the last beepity beep. I have to learn how to say no. Because even with your children, there must be boundaries in place. You have to still take care of yourself too. Love is not, listen, love isn't you give all of who you are, every single thing, because then you will be vacant. You won't live another day to give. You get what I'm saying? So even with your children, there must be boundaries in place. And that's not neglect. That's not neglect. Okay? Saying no is not neglect. And when you say yes to all the time, you actually say no to yourself. And that's one of the ways you lose yourself. And guys, women and men, we have been losing ourselves to people. And it don't feel good. That's death to the soul. Lord, you always get me so emotional on this thing, man.
It's the truth.
It's death to the soul. And this is why a relationship is not healthy just because you always say yes. That's not a healthy relationship. That's a toxic relationship.
It is okay to say no.
Right. And we have to really change our mindset for the way that we think. That's why so many people are depleted right now, guys. We done been given, and the only person we ain't give to is ourselves.
And we end up losing ourselves.
That's how you lose yourself. And by the way, the text line is 4224796. 4224796. Hold on, because I just discovered a couple weeks ago, Rochelle, that I got WhatsApp on this phone.
Oh.
That's right. Y'all can't tell me nothing now.
No.
That's right. Y'all could WhatsApp me. So let me read this on the WhatsApp line. That's right. Although I know, Brittany, you didn't know about this WhatsApp line. No, I know if Brittany didn't know. Ain't nobody tell me. Anyhow, let me read this. Okay. Good day, Stanya. You have asked, but I know you mean Stanya. I am listening to a very sad story, and I empathize with the young lady. But things do not happen in a vacuum. This is her side of the story, and you are right. Additionally, when are we, the people, continue to follow false prophets? What type of Bible are you reading in church? Listen, a family member, I ain't gonna say who asked me asked me this week, you come into church or something like that. So I was like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to go to church just this week. And mind you, sometimes I go now, y'all. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I go. So it's not that I don't go at all. I go sometimes. And so we having this conversation, and I'm like, well, I mean, they all the same kind of sort of. I mean, you know, I see, or I normally tell my prophet friend when we talking about something, I like to tell her this all the time. I say, that's because you know, she come, oh, well, I said, that's because you saved. And she, of course, she looks at me like, Stanya, what you run over? I say, because you saved, Prophet Kosher. You saved. You thinking everybody else saved. No, you saved. You got a heart for God.
Stanya, here's the thing, right? At some point in everybody's life, you are issued a share of manipulation.
Yeah.
Whether you knew it or not,
yeah,
you are manipulated.
Of
right?
course.
Even sometimes our parents will manipulate us into thinking.
Our children too.
Thank you very much.
I just had to cuss out my daughter this week.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
You know, and so people always tend to go far left when it comes down to the church.
Yes.
And they would say that, oh, you're too stupid. You should open up your eyes. You're trying to tell me you can let a whole pastor, a whole husband tell you to do this and tell you to do that. Everybody come out of their own eventually. But at the end of the day, I didn't stay there. I found my voice and I stood up for myself, and hence why I started that movement. And when people see me and they see me with this short hair, my short hair is not a fashion statement. It was me standing up to myself against my husband. I have naturally long hair to my back.
Well, I could tell you. I could tell.
To my back.
Yeah.
And it would have been 18 years ago, I decided I'm going to do that big chop because I stood up against him. You know, I didn't just stay there and see because I observed.
Because you would have died.
I would have died, right? I sat, I observed, and I asked questions. And because I started to ask questions, I started to now upset the apple cart. Who are you to ask these questions? You shouldn't be asking questions because you have a husband. Not because I have a husband means that I shouldn't open up my mouth and ask a question. And furthermore, I have a husband at the same time who is still so tunnel vision when it comes down to the pastor. Whatever the pastor say, he's going to follow. Every day was church, Stanya.
Every day
was church, right? And so let me break this down to you. I'm going to break this down to you. On Sunday, there's church in the morning and in the night. Monday, there was an activity. Tuesday, there's an activity. Wednesday is praise and worship. Thursday, there's an activity. Friday, there's an activity. And Saturday, there's an activity. So the church doors was open 7 days a week. And at the end of the day, you'll find you'll have married couples going to church every day. And so for me, I told my husband at the time, I'm like, baby, I'm not going to church every day because it does not give us time to ourselves so that we can spend quality time together. And so I said to my husband, we had agreed. I said, Tuesdays will be our day. We don't have to go to church every day. I don't feel like going to church every day. I don't have to go to church every day. And so he was like, you know what? Okay, fine. So we dedicate Tuesday for us as a family. It happened twice, Stanya, in our entire marriage while we were married, right? And so the third, I noticed that, okay, Tuesday, we're going to church. I'm like, what do you mean we're going to church? I say, Tuesdays is me and your day. This is a day dedicated to you and me. Whereas we now, because we're a new couple, You know, we're newlywed, and this is the time that we should be spending time together to get to know each other. Yeah, we knew each other because we grew up in the same church, but at the same time, I'm getting to know you as a husband, and you're getting
Right.
to know me as a wife. I'm not dedicating my 7 days out of the
Every
week
single
into
day?
the church, you know? And so he was like, well, we're going to church. And I told my husband, no, I'm not going. Right. And so eventually, I don't know what conversations he would have had with the pastor. Next thing I know, that Sunday, I was the topic of discussion as a sermon. You know,
What? Listen, and they
wives-
like do the, and listen. Let me take this commercial break because listen and see and that's anyway. We could take this commercial break, and then we could come back and talk about how you was the topic of discussion. See, y'all putting these people on a pedestal, guys, and these people are fractured human beings, egotistical. Very broken. I'm serious. Very, very broken. Ego's so fragile. They can't take too much. That's why they can't take people coming up against them.
Exactly.
Anyhow, Brittany, take me to commercial break. We could be right back.
Always on the go? Missed a show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day. What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and gritty.
We need to start joking with everything, you know. This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet this boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life and junk, you know.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower and I ain't no snitch. I still white there, you know.
Boy, ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you, and your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
At Star General, you can go gold. Comprehensive car insurance covers loss or damage from accidents, fire, theft, and third-party liability. But the Gold package gives you increased coverage for rental car and windscreen, personal accident, medical benefits, deductible waiver, and 24-hour roadside assistance where available. Our Star General Gold package also gives you up to $2,500 for accidental damage to a rental car anywhere in the Bahamas. Go gold with Star General. Insurance made simple.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
And we are back. And boy, this is Rochelle, you coming on next week with me, because this.
If you wish for me to be a
'Cause
guest,
I
I
don't-
definitely will.
Because I feel like we really,
Touch the surface.
we only scratching right now.
Yeah.
We is scratching. So, hold on. Okay, I have before we get back to you being a topic of discussion on the
That's
pulpit.
Sunday.
Okay, hi Stanya. That sounds like a cult. I agree. Why do supposedly intelligent people get caught up in the nonsense? Is it because of a character flaw, or do we feel so incomplete? I think it's okay, guys. I think there's several things. I don't think it's like one thing. Sometimes we all search to belong somewhere. That's one. We all searching to belong. we're all looking for quote unquote home. Also, we actually grow our children up, society grows the children up, or us, to be a part of, like, to follow the instruction, to fall in line. Okay. And I've told you, I've spoken about some of my crazy parenting stuff with my daughter. You see the picture of my daughter. My daughter's a pie.
Very much so.
She look good. Okay, but this one of the things that I would have done with my daughter, for her to have a brain, to think for herself. Several things. One is, okay, as young, don't care how, as young as she was, let's say going to school, and if something happened in school, first of all, you have to foster a relationship with your children so that there's an environment where they can speak.
And feeling safe.
And feel safe, yeah. Second of all, like I would always say, if she had, let's say something happened with another child, I would say, okay, so how you think you should handle this? So now I'm teaching her how to think for herself. And I'm asking questions. Well, do you think that was like a good thing, a bad thing? And so, no, mommy, it didn't make me feel good.
Inclusion.
So how do you think you should answer this? So I always told my daughter, I say, okay, you handle it. Now, if you can't handle it, then mommy's going to step in. So that trained my daughter how to ask questions, how to stand up for herself, how to say something right. I remember one time a little boy was cheating in class, and the little boy, actually, his mom was a teacher at the school. And I remember my daughter told on him. And so I was like, you ain't scared, like the people, they could beat you up or whatever. And all of her friends was like, oh, you was a snitch. And you did. My daughter didn't give a 5 cents.
I'm happy.
She didn't give a 5 cents.
And I could agree with you on that, because my now 18-year-old, I always tell people that she's my conscience.
Yeah.
She is who I could not have been growing up.
Yes.
And I think too, part of the reason is because of my experience growing up. And I've trained my kids from a very early age. Speak up for yourself.
Right.
Stand up for yourself. And even as parents too, Stanya, because your kids are not always going to come to you with everything.
Right.
And so from little, I've always drilled down with them. You have aunts who are my sisters.
Yes.
You're not always going to be comfortable with me as a mother coming to me and telling me, and she also has an older sister as well, right? And I'm like, you're not always going to be comfortable coming to me. And I accept that, and I don't take umbrage to it, and I'm not upset about it.
Right.
But you have a circle, you have a village who I trust, and I know that they're going to lead you right. So go to them and you tell them, even if you're not comfortable coming to me, but you have aunts who I'm sure who's going to lead you and who's going to guide you, right? And so you seek that source of safety within them. Eventually you're going to come to me.
I'll tell you this. So, like I said, this is just one part of it. I feel, like I told you, I have crazy, strange beliefs and when it comes to parenting. Is my daughter perfect? Heck no. You hear me just tell you I cuss out this week. Hello. Okay. But I think we like to tell our children what to do all the time. And if and that's not good parenting. Yes, there are times when you have to. Yes, that's not Stanya saying don't. Yeah, right. You have to, but you have to give them a choice and give them a voice.
Give
a
them
choice
the opportunity.
and a voice. But if you always telling your children what to do, you are training them how to just fall in line, don't ask no questions,
identity.
and not to think for themselves. Okay. And then another thing that we do, you're talking about how people get like this. Sometimes we watch our parents.
I was about to say.
We watch our parents.
Yes.
We full of crap.
Yeah, I was about to say, because, also coming from a home where, and I think that's, that's the old rearing up of them as well, because, they would have come from an era where
Right.
I told you what to do, this is what you're going to do, and that's that. And so our parents would have raised us in the same manner to say, this is what I'm telling you to do, and you're going to do it. So you find us as parents now, no, I'm not going to do that to my kid, because at the end of the day, they're going to lose their identity, and they're going to lack self-respect, and it's so many traumas that's going to affect them. The trauma that I experienced, I don't want them to experience that kind of trauma. Give me the opportunity to say, hey, Mommy, I hear what you were saying. I did not agree with what you were saying, but however, this is the route I'm going to take respectfully.
Yes.
And that's that.
Yes.
And I train my kids, and my kids can tell anybody, my mom allow us to have our free speech, but be respectful.
Yeah, like
with
you know,
it.
I had and my sister might be listening right now, but I had a conversation with my niece today, and I kind of tricked them into coming by me because I really wanted to talk to my niece about something. And so the minute she came out the car, my sister's in the car, she came out, and I locked it down. I was like, "Yeah, sit down right here. We having our meeting, your family meeting." And I said it to her, I said, "Remember now, during the family meeting, you have freedom to say whatever you want to say, but be respectful."
That's it.
And we had such a great conversation.
Be candid if you can, and it's okay to be candid, but just be respectful and understand the audience that you're speaking with as well. Just be respectful, and it's going to be okay.
So, okay, so say, wow, if a woman ever told me she doesn't want to go to church with me, I would tell her, fine, pack up her stuff. Okay, so you're trying to tell me it's like 7 days of the week, and if the woman says she don't want to go one day out of the week, that's a problem.
I think he missed that part. It's
Well, see-
7 days a week. You're asking me to go to the church when I'm going to have
Right.
time for my family and myself
Yeah.
and my husband as a newlywed. And I don't agree with that.
And if you, sir, if you can understand that 7 days out of the week, somebody don't want to do that one out of the 7 days, you're too far gone.
Yeah,
sir.
you're too far gone.
You're too, in the words of my
You
daughter,
are of a reprobate mind.
you're
at
too
this
far
point.
gone. I can't, boy, but you know, this is a side thing. Rochelle, I remember one time I was dating this pastor, right? And let me tell
Are
you.
you so close in this religious thing? But what's
Yeah,
going
and
on,
listen,
man?
and he was the fundamentalist too.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I remember, you know, we were like, okay, so the same cotton thing. So it's like, listen, let's see, you know, this is a certain amount of months and let's see if this is going to work. And, you know, I respect him a lot, but I was like, nah, this ain't go boy. Because for starters, how this could look when I driving down the road singing, come wine. Listen, 5-star 10. This ain't
Hello.
gonna work. This
No,
ain't gonna work. When the people come to me and tell me they want to leave their wife or husband, and if I think that this ain't making no sense,
Yeah.
I can tell them this ain't making no sense. I say, no, this ain't gonna work. I can't be this
Yeah.
man wife.
Yeah.
I can't be this man wife.
I ain't
gonna represent him good.
You won't. You won't. And the thing is, what people fail to understand when I said no to my husband for one day out of the week, it was with reason. I'm not going to be sacrificing myself every day going to church. I'm working. I'm not a stay-at-home mom
Rochelle.
or a stay-at-home wife. I'm working. I have a job. And at the time, I was working shifts. My first shift started at 4:30 in the morning.
Rochelle, that's emotional immaturity, guys. If someone is too, and this goes for women and men. Let me say this. So I ain't trying to call no man out or whatever. I calling people out. If you, okay, let's say if your husband takes you for ice cream 7 days of the week, and then one day, every day he taking you for ice cream, and this one day your husband say, honey, I'm tired. I just want to rest. Let's go to get this ice cream. This, you know, could we just not go on
And
Tuesday?
it's not healthy.
If your wife can't understand that your husband is take you out to for ice cream every single day, and just one day he want to rest, you are the problem.
And then I'll
Because
be the problem.
even God take a rest on the seventh
Then
day,
I'll
my
be the
guy.
Stanya, and then
Come
I'll
on,
be the
man.
problem. And then I will be the problem
Come
for
on.
resting for one day. But guess what? What people fail to understand, the first institution that God built was family, not church. I'm sorry. So my family was a priority for me to say, honey, I'm not going to church on a Tuesday. We have to find a time for ourselves. He works shifts and I work shifts. Some days he'll be coming in and I wouldn't see him. And some days I'll be coming in and he wouldn't see me, you know, but we will see each other, you know. Obviously he got to sleep eventually, right? But that's the only time we really spend time together because he's tired and I'm tired. But I'm not going into church 7 days a week as a newlywed, sacrificing my family for the sake of church. No.
Man, like I say, text message a man, tell me, please tell me you better than that. Man, in the words I get on myself, you must be better than they. You come on now. You trying to you must be better than they. You trying to tell me that you don't have understanding to guys, see, and you know something, and I don't know if he messing with me or not, right? But either way, this ain't a good look. This is not a good look. See, this why, Rochelle, you know what? One time ago, people would make it seem like if a woman who ain't married by a certain age, like that's a problem.
A sin.
But let me tell you something. I realize many marriages, it just boil on how much crap you could take.
Exactly.
On this ain't no big achievement.
Exactly.
Mother sick.
Exactly.
This so stooly. this ain't good at all. No, man. Okay, right. Come on now. You must be better than they. Because come on now. You trying to tell me
So
you.
he
right,
agreed for
yeah,
7?
man. Come on now. This breakthrough. Okay, it look like you ain't that far gone. I could pull your box up. Come on now. That's like
What was his response?
He said, "Oh, I thought she meant she don't want to go to church at all."
Oh,
see, you see how
no.
you was listening, right?
No, he wasn't
Come on,
listening.
man. That's like a woman. Your husband give you money every day, and one day he say he can't do it. You got a
You mad.
problem? You mad? No, man. You're
Insane.
selfish and you're immature. You're emotionally immature.
But that's what you call insanity because you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It is pure insanity.
Listen, let me let Rochelle finish this because you're hiding my head and I don't want Kong Salad. Hold on, man. Let me. Rochelle,
yes.
it's done after 2 now. But
I know, right?
Let's get back to,
So
on the pulpit.
So we made a commitment as a family to say that, okay, great. On
Hold on 1
Tuesdays.
second, Rochelle. Y'all, the text lines. 422-4796. I don't want y'all calling because we got to get we got to get through it, but I don't mind reading the text messages, guys. And I love, even though, I do it in my text message, I love him. And I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate, as I told Rochelle before, before we started the show, and I said, when people are sharing a part of themselves, I hold it very sacred because it's the ultimate form of intimacy into you. What they say, into me, I see, or into you, I see. So, guys, share. Maybe you have a similar experience, or you have, your 5 cents that you want to share. So please send me a message 422-4796. And like I say, child, I got Tingam, I got WhatsApp, so I could read your message here, or someone pointing something right now. Oh, what I miss here? What is it? Yes, okay. Hello, Stanya. Boy, they ain't trying to spell my name. They got S, but that's all right, child. I appreciate you. This is a very interesting conversation. Why do we, the people, allow these men or women of God to control you all in marriage? Guys, because I don't even know what to tell you right now. Because we've been programmed
For
from
so long.
The church been around a long time.
For so long.
This indoctrination. It's nothing wrong with God's word now. Let me say that now. I ain't saying a thing. I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying is that, like, this little form of Christianity what we got going on here, this has been very damaging.
It's a cult.
And that's why you're talking about Christian nation and man and woman of God. I used to be so scared when people tell me this at Christmas. I used to be so scared.
And it becomes traumatizing because you look at church different.
Yeah.
It's not that you're saying that nobody's perfect, but at the same time, there has been some trauma that have me look at you different. Because I don't want to put myself in that position again. So like even now, Stanya, if I go to church, the church that I go to now, I find it hard for me to clap my hand or just rock my body left to right because I was told all my life growing up you can't do
so y'all couldn't even do a little
you
1,
couldn't
2 step?
clap. All you had to do is just sing from the old hymns. Stand up for Jesus. Right, and so now you come out of that. Imagine being in this environment for so long, right? And now you're in a new church environment, and it's like they have drums, they have heavy praise and worship, they got junkanoo, they got calypso, whatever you want to call it, right? But it's such a good feeling because you're now in a new environment. But at the same time, I don't know where to put myself in this new environment because all my life I was told my feelings is only when I buck my toe. If I injured myself, I must now react on that feeling and that emotions, but not when it comes to that. You stand still. You cannot express, you cannot say nothing. So now I'm in a new environment. I'm like, Jesus, I feel like I'm sinning and clapping and dancing and shouting.
But and the thing about it, like, I love praise and worship. Let me tell you something.
I love it.
Praise and worship to me could take you to a place where the preaching can't even take you. Let me tell you.
And that's enough preaching for you, to be honest.
Listen, you could go home after one good praise and worship session.
I can tell you. And then even you don't even have to go to church for that. You go in home and you looking off that music in your bedroom first thing in the morning. That's enough to shout the heavens down.
Oh, listen, all the demon gets to lay after that.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I just saying. Anyhow, let's get back to how you was the sermon, because I know plenty pastors who do that. Like, they would go and then they ask in the church, and of course y'all know the congregation is going to agree with y'all. That's why I say your ego so fragile. Y'all, you see what I tell y'all about emotional gangsters? And emotional gangsters, they cannot take the truth. Okay? They cannot take the truth. And they always need an audience. Go on, man. Go on, Rochelle. Tell me how you use the topic now. What they say about you? Tell it to Stanya. Go on.
So my husband and I, we made the commitment, like I said, on Tuesdays. And so it lasted for two Tuesdays. And so the third Tuesday, he's like, well, we're going to church. I'm like, no, I'm not going. And so he's like, I already talked to the pastor, and the pastor say this, and the pastor say that. I say, well, that's between you and your pastor. That is not what I'm doing. I say, we are newlyweds. I say, I am fighting a two-headed monster at this point. I said, there is no way I'm arguing you as a husband to tell you, say, babes, it is okay not to go to church once out of the week. 6 days out of the week, it is okay to say one day I am going to stay home and spend time with my wife, and that it's fine. But you have to also have a stance to your pastor and say, no, my wife and I made this decision. But guess what, Stanya, on the opposite foot, his wife do not attend church 7 days a week, the pastor's wife. No, she don't.
No.
But I'm telling you, she don't, but at the end of the day, you want to control everybody else. But your wife, as the pastor's wife, she does not do it. But you want now to force this and burden down everybody else to do it.
Well,
so fast forward to that Sunday.
But clearly she never used to cook on Sunday too.
No, she didn't.
They had kids?
They had kids. Yeah, they had kids. And so the church I once attended, it's located on West Avenue, which is Calvary.
We ain't calling no name.
Well, anyhow, it's located on West Avenue, and not all fundamental churches are like that. So just for full disclaimer, right? Because we do have some fundamental churches here in the country, and they do not operate in that manner. However, he was just a rogue agent, in my opinion. And so Sunday morning, coming into church, I was the topic that morning saying that, oh, your wives, you have these women in this church who want to control their husband, telling their husband they're not coming into church. They want to do what they have to do. The Lord give us a church to open up 7 days a week. And in 7 days of the week, if the church is going to open up 7 days a week, you must attend. You follow where your husband go. You lie where your husband lie. Obviously, I'm looking at this pastor. I'm like, yeah, you're talking about me, clearly. What do you mean? And so he made another statement that really confirmed that, yes, he was meaning me when he said that, and you talking about you want to spend time with your family. This church is your family.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, well, did he ever speak directly to you?
No, he did not speak directly to me, but eventually he did. During those first interactions, those first couple of months, he did not speak to me directly. But at the end of the day, I was a bit disappointed because it's like I was left vulnerable and open because of my husband at the time. Because you are my protection, you are my protector, but you did not protect me. You allowed the pastor to just basically slew me on the pulpit as if I did something wrong, when I clearly wanted just us to spend time together as a newly husband and wife to be,
I've heard, like you're sharing this, and like I said, I really appreciate you sharing your experience. Like, I remember speaking with someone, and they were saying that as a child, the pastor of their church would beat the children. Like, let's say the mom said, okay, well, this one, she didn't do good in school, or he was a bad boy, he got in trouble for talking in school. The pastor would discipline the children.
Yeah, my former pastor did the same thing.
What?
Yes, ma'am. The parents would bring their kids. They trusted him so much, whereas he became the disciplinary of their house. Any decisions that needed to be made in certain homes, he would be the one to make the decisions. And he kind of resented my father too, in a way, because my dad was the kind of guy, you're not coming into my house making the decision of my home.
So he used to beat the parishioners' children?
Yes. Some, not all.
But like I said, this isn't even weird to me, because I said, I've heard this stuff before. Like, people have shared that with me, and I found it to be the most weirdest thing.
I've witnessed that in the church that I once attend. It happened before. And if he cannot get a control of you, now you're now painted to be this most sinful person on earth, and you're going to hell. And so my dad, growing up, he would make decisions, and my dad's like, your pastor can't make a decision for me. And my dad, then, as you get older, he's like, y'all need to leave this church.
So why didn't you leave?
I don't know why I didn't leave, because I think, too, part of it was, you got so connected with so many young people eventually, and they looked up to you. And I think part of it was me being their defender, because there wasn't really much persons who was standing up for those young persons growing up. And so I was I was like a mentor to many.
But was there no one else? It'd have to be other people in the church.
There were other persons who
was
were
like, this ain't feel too good now. It'd have to be several other people.
We lost a lot of members because of it.
Well, I
Person
mean,
stood up and he didn't like it, and they eventually left. A lot of marriage that he put together, he was the one that put asunder. You know, the Bible say, what man put together, let no man put asunder. He was the one that destroyed most of the marriages, and they left.
well, he didn't have any scandals because normally people.
There was a lot of scandal that came behind him after a while, which was discovered.
Okay, is this person still operational?
He is. He is.
Anyway, don't call no name. We ain't calling the right.
Yeah, there were a lot of sexual scandals that was attached.
Same sex or opposite sex?
Opposite sex.
Okay.
That was attached to him, going into various neighborhoods, sleeping with other women, and also coming on to the women in the church and younger persons in the church as well. And so it was a big scandal. It was a big deal during that time for persons who were aware of the situation, although it was not brought to the public light per se, but persons who were aware of it, it was brought to many's attention. So basically he gaslighted a lot of persons into thinking that what he did was right in the eyes of the Lord. And so persons started to stand up. And so, yes, I was blast from the pulpit for me saying that I'm not.
So were you at the church?
I was to church that Sunday, but my husband was not to church that Sunday because he went to work.
So what everybody? Oh, so he missed a day.
Yeah.
So he miss a day
work,
though.
But he went to work, right? But that Sunday when my husband went to work, it was me now who was being blasted. And, just taken full advantage of on the pulpit. And then you have the guys in the congregations shouting with their fist pump, amen, amen, shun these wives, they have no say, and it's like, it became a lot. And then when my husband came home that day, I was a bit hurt. And I told him I don't appreciate what transpired in the church today because here it is now, I was the topic of discussion. Here it is now, the pastor just railroaded me just because I said, honey, I wish not to go to church on a Tuesday, 7 days a week, 1 day out of the week. I think it is okay to stay home with you as a husband, but you went behind my back and you spoke to the pastor and he just blasted me. And my husband did not defend me, and so he was like, at the end of the day, whatever the pastor say, that's just what it is.
And that's plain and simple.
And that was plain and simple. But I started to stand up for myself and he just didn't like it.
Okay, is that someone who's calling through, Brittany? Boy, yeah, this a lot. So okay, boy, I don't even know what to say. All right, so there were no women in there who.
The women who were there, most of them at this point, they basically didn't have much to say. They were saying it amongst themselves during women's fellowship. If they talking or whatever, they will express their discontent or their way of how the pastor would, approach certain matters. But no one would really stand up, except for one, really, who she did stand up at one point, and she ended up her marriage got destroyed because she stood up for. She ended up leaving her husband because he refused to leave the church. And a lot of persons left the church because, some persons saw what he was doing was just doing a bit too much as a pastor, and persons end up leaving. And I told my husband, I think it's time that we leave this church because this isn't godly and this isn't right.
Okay, now see, that's why I say you gotta come back on, Rochelle, because clearly we got so much to talk about. But okay, so did you end up leaving the church while still married to your husband?
I did.
Really?
I did,
So
yes.
how?
I ended up leaving it because we were having camp. Every summer we would host the camp. There's the camp out on Gladstone Road.
Where everyone goes.
Yeah,
yes. Okay.
And so that was a week of camping. We have the kids going over and we're just having a good fun week with the kids and all that stuff. And so my husband and I, we were just talking, we were making plans to do, all kind of things. And so I'm like, and I was expressing to him, I'm like, I no longer feel safe and comfortable in this church. I said, because at the end of the day, we as women are being blasted every opportunity, and no one is saying anything. No husband in the church are basically defending their wives. I'm like, here's this couple who left because the pastor just decided that he just wants to blast everybody. But you have a wife who's not in compliant, like you saying she is in compliant, but you know she's not in compliant.
So, okay, so you're having this conversation with hubby.
Yes.
And so what does he say?
So as we were having the conversation, he's like, babes, that's just what it is. I'm a preacher boy. He's like, at the end of the day,
leaving.
whatever the pastor said, I'm not going and I'm not leaving the church. I'm like, well, if you're not leaving the church, I am leaving the church. I'm not staying here because here it is now. Every day I'm being abused mentally. We're being blasted for no reason. But he have a wife who do not cook for him, who do not obey what he have to say, but you to expect me to do it. But I'm like, how the double standard of his preaching do not align with what God have to say. That's one. And it do not align with your life, with the way you're living. It's not aligning with it. I'm like, on a Sunday, you expect me to cook for him and his family. I'm not doing that. You expect me to be to church 7 days a week. I'm not doing that. When I go grocery shopping, you expect me to go shopping for the wife, for the pastor and his family. I'm not doing that. I cannot express myself if we're having meetings and if there is something that I feel as if I have an opinion on a matter and I don't think that what you're doing is correct. And because we're standing up and I have to say something, I have to channel it through you so that you could speak for me. I have a voice like everybody else have a voice. So why can I not express myself? And so that's when a lot of things started to change.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you know, I always think about, you know, back in the day, my friend and I had this conversation where she was like, man, Stanya, you know what it is for, okay, you know, people talk about, oh, back then, marriages was this, and women used to say, they was trapped. And not only that, I mean, and I know this is a sidebar conversation here, but you know what it is for people to fight to work? Well, Rasta God, people fighting to work.
Yes,
you know, you must have used to do that bad, right? People fighting so they could work.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is a lot. Okay, so after having that conversation, how soon after that did you leave? And was this now the demise of, or the beginning of the end with your relationship with your husband?
It was the beginning. It started as the beginning of it.
So that kind of was like, okay.
It set the tone. Yeah, it set the tone because I was left exposed as a wife. I didn't feel protected. I didn't feel as if I was valued. And even and I remember at one time we were having dinner at the dining table and he drank out of my glass of water. I didn't mind, my husband.
Oh, I thought you
right?
meant
I didn't
the
mind, right? But when he drank, when I'm looking at it now, I believe it was intentional, the way he did it. When he drank, like a lot of rice just went into the glass of water. And so...
Well, if y'all could see me, y'all see the face I got right now. Oh, Lord, this done going downhill.
And so when he drank it, I didn't drink it no more. And so he's like, why you not drinking the glass of water? I was like, this is not healthy. I'm like, I'm not certain why would you drink the glass of water and then you're going to now have rice sitting and floating in this water. You
Michelle,
expect me to drink it. I'm serious, right?
This is nasty.
It is, right? I'm like, it's not healthy. I'm like, I'm not doing that. He's like, you know what? His response to me, I said, well, I'm going to get me another glass of water. And I say, in future, do not do that. I'm like, if you're not going to drink it, do not expect me to drink it. I say, because that is not fair to me. And I say, that is not healthy. And so I proceeded to go and get another glass of water. He said, woman, sit down. I said, excuse me. So I was a bit shocked, right? He just went on 10. And I'm like, excuse me. And then so he's like, you going to drink this glass of water? I say, no, I'm not drinking this glass of water. I'm going to get rid of this glass of water. I'm going to get me another glass of water. And so he's like, I'm your husband. Whenever I tell you to do something, if I tell you to jump and you're going to ask me how high you're going to jump, I'm like, no, this isn't happening. I say, clearly, I'm living in the world of Narnia when this is not real. I say, first of all,
this is an anime, eat the cake anime.
Exactly. And so I'm like, first of all, you drank the water, which I had no issues of you doing it, but you have rice settling in the water. You
Rochelle,
want me to
you're
drink
killing
it?
me right now. I
I'm
can
telling
tell
you,
you,
I'm
this is
serious. Yeah.
nasty and gross, man.
It is,
Come on
right?
now.
And so I stood up for myself, and so he's going to tell me, "You're not getting another glass of water. You're going to drink this." I say, "No, I'm not drinking it." You know. And so he yucked the glass from me, and he stood in my presence, and he's like, "You're going to drink this?" I say, "No, I'm not drinking it." And so I walked away, and I went into the kitchen and got another glass of water, and that was that. You know. And he got upset because of it. And so at that same time, he's like, "You're being a bit rebellious because you're not listening to me as a husband. As a husband, when I tell you to do something, this is what you have to do." And he said, "Furthermore, you know what? You need to now give me your ATM card because you're not listening to me."
Okay,
And I
okay, hold it right there, because we only got like 3 minutes left, and Brittany did soon tell me I need to wrap this up. Okay, this clearly, Rochelle, I'm gonna come back on for a part 2, because how long were you married to him?
I was married less than 24 months.
All this was happening in 24.
Less than 24 months.
Okay, listen, we can end the show today.
Yeah.
But okay, so we definitely we're gonna need a part 2, guys. Yeah, this is a lot, and yeah, I don't even know what to say. I speechless, and I always like run my big mouth. But we are gonna end it today, guys. Tune in for next week, because that's the juicy stuff for next week with the husband, because
I'm my best friend.
and the best friend. Child, this part 2023. But anyway, guys, also tune in. I'm going to be on TikTok live, guys, on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And I'm going to be talking about the love-starved woman. You know, I talked about it before, the love-starved woman. The Cardi B edition. That's right, the Cardi B edition.
Tune in.
Yes. So, okay, guys. So search for the link on my page, on Tell It to Stanya's page on Facebook to follow. All right. And one last text message before we go. Miss Rochelle, you were clearly in a cult. Count yourself lucky, because it sounds like you could have been rented out to the pastor. And it always is be something like that. What I tell you all before, who trying to correct, use the main one who need to be corrected. It's always. Anyhow, guys, it's been real. Thank you, Rochelle, for being a part of the show.
Thank you for allowing me to walk the journey and speak it and share it, because so many persons are experiencing the same situation.
Yes.
And here it is. We're in this country and persons are like, this don't happen in the Bahamas. But
It does. I'm telling you, listen, there's another person who was supposed to come on the show actually from last year who she called it a religious cult too. And I mean, to the point where a family member allegedly refused medical attention because of it. And of course ended up being unalive.
Yeah.
But yeah, these things happen. These things are allegedly. So in the words of Tasha K, even my name is alleged. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. I'll be right here on Tell It to Stanya. Have a good one.
This is Guardian Radio 96.